Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You may be watching this session from your office, from your home, maybe even your couch. And that's not very different from what a lot of us as consumers are doing these days. We are reaching out to our providers from a lot of different places. And this has significantly accelerated the adoption of cloud technologies and digital technologies for interacting with our vendors, our service providers, our product vendors, our retailers. While digital may be supplanting what we were able to do physically, we don't expect any less of a customer experience than we would otherwise do, right? To digital customers who are creative and want to communicate in a visual way, they expect to create experiences, right, that are powerful, experiences that give them control. They can do it at their terms. They want to be able to use any and all channels that they have for interacting with the services of a particular brand. And they want to do it seamlessly across these channels. And when they want it, right? They expect the brands and enterprises to know who they are, to personalize it for them, to provide them a contextual service. And they want to be able to do it whenever they want it, 24 by 7, whatever device that they have, whenever they want it. 2 o'clock in the morning, why not? 5 o'clock in the morning, sure. Noon, absolutely, right? And to really meet the demands of such challenging customers, uh, organizations are investing in the next generation of consumer experience technologies. And what they're really trying to get out of that is three things, right? Are they able to have better customer retention? Can they have better customer satisfaction? Are they able to cross sell and upsell their services, their products, their offerings? And it's extremely important that they get it right. They earn the trust, the loyalty of their customers. Because good things happen if they do, and bad things happen if they don't. Right? And I'll give you some examples. 85% of the customers actually will not buy a product or a service if they had a bad customer experience. Okay, 82% will stop doing business with those persons if they basically experience such situations, but will actually be willing to pay more if they get better service, right? Customer loyalty is so important because they're 5 times more likely to repurchase if they're loyal. They're 5 times more likely to forgive a mistake if they believe that the brand has been loyal to them. They're 7 times more likely to try a new product or offering from that particular vendor if they're loyal to them. And they're 4 times more likely to really recommend them as a brand. Okay, so as I said, it's extremely important for them to really earn the trust of these customers. And when asked what makes for a good customer experience, 45% of the customers said that the ability of the organization to address their requirements or concerns in the first interaction is important, right? They treat it as that basically being provided good experience. 56% of the respondents said that, you know what, friendly customer service agent makes a big difference. But the biggest one of them all, right? 82% of the customers said faster resolution of that particular issue, right, is the best indicator of what type of customer service they have gotten. So as right, so I think these are some very powerful metrics that we have. Now the question is that if organizations know this, right, are they able to meet, or are they meeting these expectations? If you look at it, right, most organizations these days are providing multiple channels of interactions to the customers, right? Obviously, voice is there, you have chat, you have um, web, right? Web based interactions, you have mobile apps, you have social media, right? So the channels are there, right? Organizations have also invested heavily in terms of back-end systems like a CRM system, right, or a field service system, or billing and order management systems, right, or knowledge bases that customers can use to self-service. So a lot of investment has been made, right? But what we still find is that these are not delivering the expectations that the customers have, right? 60% of the contact centers cannot provide contextualized, personalized information about the customers that their agents are interacting with. Okay, 69% of the customers um, are faced with a situation where the agent has to go to multiple screens to get the information they're looking for, and hence there's a delay in that service, right? So now the question really is that if the expectations are known, if the organizations are investing, right, why are they not able to meet these requirements or meet these expectations, right? There's several challenges that are contributing to why this is happening. Okay, the first one is, just because you have multiple channels doesn't mean that it's an omni-channel experience. And what's even worse is if the experience of going from one channel to the other is not seamless, the customers actually get more frustrated. Okay. The second area really is about providing contextual data, okay, to the customers. Now, we do know that there's a sensitivity around personal information, and we have to be very careful about that personal information. But I believe, I think there's a false choice between being protective of the customer data and being responsive. I think both can be done together. Okay, the third area really is for the customer service agents to provide the better experience, or even the self-service systems to provide the customer experience, right? Is that if you have the contextual information on hand. And I think that is an area where basically we do struggle. Okay. Uh, and part of it is that the system that I talked about earlier, right? That organization have invested in, whether it's the CRM system or the billing system, or the knowledge management system, the ability to effectively integrate them, okay, in a timely manner, in a contextual manner, in a manner where all of the information comes together, right? That is a challenge. And as organizations tend to basically invest further to do it, the question comes is, where's the money, right? Should we just sweat out the assets that we have? Or basically, can we come up with robust business cases to make further investments to drive this next generation of experience? I think those are very important things. And last but not the least, right, uh, what you find is the skills that the organization has, right? A lot of the systems that we have today are AI driven, but does the organization have resources with skills who can take advantage of these advanced AI capabilities? Okay, so these are areas which are basically inhibiting what the customers are able to actually capitalize on, or the organizations are able to capitalize on. So what should we be doing? Okay, I think we need to step back and look at sort of three different pillars. First, we need to start with reimagining our customer engagements, right, or customer interactions. Start with redesigning your new customer journey, right? What should the customer journey look like in this new digital world? And once you have those figured out, you work backwards from them to really map what the engagement journeys for your agents and employees should look like. Okay, I think that's the first part. Once you have figured that out, you need to really design a human-centered system, right, which provides that omni-channel experience that you just designed, right, using these new journeys in a seamless manner. Okay, and that can be powered, or should be powered, or actually in a lot of cases it's already being powered by the latest that's available in artificial intelligence, in natural language processing, in machine learning, right? But you don't have to do it all at once. If you have the basics, right, of your system, the core which is future ready, you can actually deploy these capabilities over a period of time through a well-defined roadmap, right? So that's the first part, right? The second part really is about how do you execute to these reimagined journeys, right? Uh, you can start with a system that provides you better automation, uh, while at the same time, right, being more personalized and giving self-service capabilities to the customers who are using it. Okay, I mentioned AI, and there are a lot of capabilities that are available, right? Basically, whether it's as simple as text to speech, that area has basically progressed so much that you can provide very human-like interactions through your chatbots, through basically, even in the self-service mode, right? And you should really drive, okay, the governance and the real-time response to how the interactions are happening through analytics that are cloud and AI powered. And finally, the pillar of resiliency. And I can't overemphasize the importance of this in the current environment, right? If there's one thing that we have learned over the last few months, uh, I think one of the top things is that we have to design and build for resiliency, right? You build an architecture that's nimble, that's future ready, that can respond to the evolving customer needs of our business, of our customers, that can scale up, scale down, depending on what the demand really looks like, right? And do it without really taxing our resources, our people, our agents, and equally importantly, our budget. Okay, we should be able to plug and play third-party components fairly easily. There's a lot of innovation that is happening in the ecosystem around our core solutions, right? And there's no reason why we should not be leveraging that ecosystem and plug it into our existing systems. Okay, and we need to pay close attention because we never know when the next physical or systemic disruption may happen, right? So they're all areas that we really need to be designing for. So I talked about what we should be doing, right? But I think let's transition now on what we are seeing actually. Okay, over the last year, we have seen uh, the customers have gone through tremendous changes in their business, right? Some have seen increased demand. A lot of our customers have seen a demand shift from one channel to the other. Other customers have seen a drop in the demand. But through it all, there has been a tremendous push towards interactions which are digital in nature, which are happening through voice, through chat, because people like you and me are not able to basically go and physically have those interactions that we have been used to, right? So there has been a significant surge in activity of contact center that we have seen, right? A number of our customers have had to set up these channels in a very short amount of time or scale up existing systems. We have been fortunate to have been part of some of these journeys with our customers, and there are a number of interesting learnings from these that I want to share just a few of those with you, right? The most important area really has been in terms of responding to the changing demand, right? And setting up some of these capabilities at the speed at which the business demands, right? Whether we are basically setting up a new channel, setting up new markets, or bringing new products to the market which are more relevant right now, okay? So being able to do that, and this is where basically a cloud-based system comes in very handy, right? But along with the system, what you need to be ready for is you need to be ready with templatized deployment capability, right? Basically, you have your telephony configurations, basically templatized setup of your logic, your call flows templatized. And for those of you who have been on a cloud journey, I think you probably have a leg up in the sense that you have a fairly good idea of how to set up a cloud landing zone quickly, right? And that comes really handy when we're adding another system which is on your cloud, in this case, a contact center application. You can save a lot of time and energy and money if you're deploying a system that's fairly well integrated to the ecosystem. Okay, so that you have pre-built adapters, you have pre-built integrations that come out of the box. And equally important, if the system is open as API basically driven, then that provides you additional capabilities to integrate with other systems that you may have. Okay, so those are areas that are really important from that perspective. Now, speed alone is not the be all and end all, right? We have to do these things in a secure manner, right? So important things about providing role-based security, having an added layer of security through multi-factor authentication, in-depth monitoring of services, logging of the data, and providing actionable insight and real-time alerts in terms of basically situations that may come up or you may have to respond to that. I think those are all very important areas that we should be really looking at, right? And while basically we're going through all of this stuff, right? One of the beauties of a cloud-based, API-driven, artificial intelligence-powered solution is the ability to do real-time reporting, not only with the data that you have in your own system, but also through systems that you maybe add on to that to provide a very specific domain-based information, right? This can really help you run your systems better, right, more smoothly, and give basically decision making information to the supervisors, to the managers in real time. Okay, and you can focus on what is important for your business, right? Whether it's analyzing the sentiments of your customers, the trends, or create rich knowledge bases that either your agents can use or your customers can use from a self-service perspective. Okay, we have actually taken these learnings and built them into our next generation customer experience offering, and I want to share a little bit of that. At the heart of our offering is Amazon Connect, right? It has all the characteristics that I talked about earlier, right? It's cloud-based, it's API-driven, it's artificial intelligence powered, right? And it gives an omni-channel experience to agents and to the customers out of the box, right? You have a single UI for routing contacts. You have reusable configurations, okay, that you can use. It has programmable telephony, right, which makes calling anywhere on any device really as simple as opening a web browser, right? It has skill-based routing and capabilities around that. It has a graphical flow builder, okay? And I think the most important of them all, and again, it's subjective, so you can take it with a pinch of salt, but the capabilities that come native from an AI perspective and the ability to add on additional AI capabilities on top of that, right? That's very, very important, right? Whether it's AI powered speech analytics or ability to convert that speech into text and do a transcription of that, translating that into local languages, right? Doing real-time customer sentiment analysis, right? That's a very important part of that, and it comes with a very rich set of ecosystem, right? There are hundreds of third-party vendors who have pre-built integrations or very customized offering on top of that, right? That gives you the power of innovation without having to pay for that. Okay, it has rich data and analytics and reporting that can get you started off quickly. We combine a lot of these capabilities, okay, with the core of our omni-channel experience, right? Like dashboards and pre-built control flow templates, configuration templates for basic integrating with different CRM and workflow management systems, quality management systems, and so on. And the result really is a system, right? A state of the art system that delivers enhanced customer experience, empowered agents, and connected insights. Some of the capabilities that I talked about, right? Here, it lets you actually be proactive. Lets your agents be proactive. They can cross sell, they can upsell, right? They are informed about what the next best action could be. What is the 360 view of the customer? What interactions have we had with them in the past, right? And sometimes anticipate an issue if they, and this is where the power of machine learning comes in, right? If there's certain things that they're trending and customers are calling around similar things, right? You can anticipate what they may be calling about and resolve that issue faster and basically thus earning their loyalty. Remember when I talked about this earlier, that 82% of customers would rate their customer experience good if their basically the issue is resolved quickly. That comes in here, right? So these are all areas I think that we are able to bring to the table, and I want to basically make it real by bringing in a customer example. So this is it's a large bank in North America, and what they saw earlier this year, because of the change in the pattern of the customers, was there was a very high increase in volume of calls and interactions for one of their business lines, right? So they had to react very, very quickly and set up a new contact center to cater to that particular business segment, right? And they had to be able to do that while being compliant with the regulations that banks have to be compliant to. And they were not really sure where these agents may be based. They may have to split in different parts of the country because they were trying to ramp up so fast. And at the same time, they may not have access to actual office building. And in some states, they may have been requirement to really provide these services from those homes, right? So they were looking for a system that could meet that business continuity requirement, right? And that is basically they're able to access those systems from the web, right, and provide that service securely. And this is where we basically got together with them. We provided them an Amazon Connect based solution for handling almost 10 million interactions from their customers annually, right? We integrated that system with their basic existing Active Directory system with multi-factor authentication. so that it was secure. We were able to provide capabilities like call recording and transcription. We were able to provide them ability to do very individualized analytics on top of that, and some very advanced actually security features as well, right, around that. So what did all of this mean for that particular customer? Um, they were actually able to have the entire system up and running in 6 weeks. And when I say 6 weeks, right, that was basically to the full volume. We were actually up and running in 3 weeks, where the agents, just purely from the system part, right, where the agents could actually start taking on calls in a pilot fashion, right? So just imagine being able to set up a system which can handle 10 million interactions a year in 3 weeks, right? That is powerful. Okay, so that was one of the key things, right? And we were able to do that at 35% less cost than what they expected if they had gone with their existing on-prem system, right? They had another instance of that basically set up there. And we basically enabled secure connectivity to their agents. They could take the calls from their homes over the web. It was secure, and the quality, right, because of the machine learning and the natural language processing capabilities that are built into the system, the quality was really good. Okay, so I think that's I think a powerful story in terms of how challenges can be turned around, right, and responded to with the help of technology. Now, the point I was trying to make earlier around basically where's the money, right? People say, yes, I want to do this, but can I afford that? And the answer is a resounding yes. Okay, this analysis that Forrester did, you guys can go and check it out. And what they found was not only do the cloud-based system, right, help you reduce your um, cost of the IT system, okay, itself, okay, by in the 30s, right? But there are other big buckets which these advanced systems help you reduce your cost by, right? The first is really call deflection, right? Do I have to take all of these calls over voice, right? Do agents have to really take that, or can I empower my customers to do a lot of self-service, use the knowledge bases that I have, use the interaction capabilities I have given them, and find that a lot of this information on their own, right? So that's one. So that's I think almost as much saving that you can get as you basically get through the lowered cost of the system itself, right? The third area, which is equally important, was that whenever those interactions did happen with an agent, are we able to improve the productivity of those agents, right? So that they can provide that resolution faster, right? That's a significant saving again. So I think these are three big buckets of savings that our customers derived. I know it has been a tough situation, but I hope hopefully we don't run into something similar, right? But you never know when and what type of disruption is going to basically come into the future. So having a resilient system which is future ready and is able to serve your customers in all of these different scenarios becomes extremely important. So thank you for spending time listening to this session, and I hope you got something useful out of it. Please do provide feedback to the session once you're done viewing it, and hopefully I will see you really soon, sometime in person, once this COVID thing is over, and we can get together at Reimagine in person in Vegas, or maybe even a better place. So thank you.